All right, so like I was telling you, we're going to learn a whole bunch of different kind of angles today. These angles are formed by a special relationship. Up at the top up here, it says parallel lines with a transversal. So parallel lines are lines that never touch each other. They have the same slope. So here's my parallel lines, and here's my transversal. My transversal is a line that intersects both of the parallel lines. Where that happens, angles are formed, and here the angles are numbered. When those angles are formed, special relationships happen. So this first relationship that we're going to talk about is called corresponding angles. So I want you to look at the angles that they say are corresponding. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. I'm not going to circle the rest because then it will look like I circled them all. 2 and 6 are corresponding. 3 and 7 are corresponding, and 4 and 8 are corresponding. So could someone come up with a definition that would tell me how to explain to someone what a corresponding angle is just by looking at those?
Two parallel lines with one running through give you two parallel angles or more.
Okay, and how would you describe angle 1 and 5 to them? How could you tell them where they were at or what their relationship was? Can you... How about this? Compare it to the cross up here. Do you see that angle 1 is in the upper left-hand corner and angle 5 is in the upper left-hand corner? Do you guys see that these are in the same position where that transversal crosses the parallel lines? So the way that I like to teach you to learn corresponding angles is to know that they're in the same position. Okay? And I even like to say most of the time the same position on the crosses. So here's your cross, upper left-hand corner. Here's your cross, upper left-hand corner. What do you think the relationship with those angles are? Do you think they're equal? Do you think they add to 180? Do you think they add to 90? What do you think about them? Just by looking at them, what do you think they are?
Odd.
They're both odd, okay, because angle 1 and angle 5. But what about 2 and 6? Because 2 and 6 are also corresponding angles. So how about we know that these two are equal? So that's going to help us in just a few minutes, okay? And when I do my note-taking guide today, I'm going to just grab a marker, a highlighter, and just write a big equal sign on there when they're equal. So that we can, if you... can't remember, you can really quick see my big yellow or green marks to know which is happening there. So corresponding angles are in the same position. They're equal to each other. Okay. The next kind of angle is called the alternate interior angles. So interior means inside. So inside the parallel lines. And what does alternate mean? On opposite sides of the transversal. So your example here is 3 and 6 is a set of alternate interior angles, or 4 and 5 are alternate interior angles. But to describe what those are, they're inside the parallel lines. And I'm going to use this symbol for parallel. Do you guys remember that two lines drawn like that together means parallel? So inside parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal. All right, what do you think their relationship is? Do you think they're equal? Do you think they add to 180? Do they look like they're the same size angle?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, and they are. These two are equal. When you have alternate interior angles, you have two angles that are equal. So again, I'm just going to put two big green lines to show equal there when we're looking for it again in just a minute. All right, the next kind of angle relationship is consecutive interior angles. Interior, again, means inside the parallel lines. So what does consecutive mean? Consecutive means right next to. So if you're inside the parallel lines and next to each other, then your angle 4 and your angle 6. So why is it not angle 3 and angle 4? Because they have something in between them. Consecutive means there's nothing in between them. So they have to be inside the parallel lines with nothing in between them. So when you look at those two angles, this one is less than 90 degrees and this one is bigger than 90 degrees. So they can't be equal to each other. But guess what we know about these two angles? They add together to be 180 degrees. So again, on mine, I'm just going to do that they add to 180. That's going to help me remember when I'm looking for it real fast that they're just going to add to 180 degrees. Okay. Next example of angles that we're learning today are alternate exterior angles. So what do you think exterior means?
Outside.
Yep, outside the parallel lines. And alternate, what did it mean?
Change.
Yeah, on the opposite sides of the transversal, right? So inside the parallel lines would be interior, but this says exterior, so it's outside the parallel lines. And then on opposite sides of the transversal, so like angle 1 and angle 8. What do you think those are? The same or add to 180? No guesses today? Alternate exterior angles are equal to each other. So when you find that relationship, you know they're equal to each other. All right, two we've already talked about. Vertical angles. They're right across from each other when you form that cross. Does anybody remember what we decided vertical angles were the other day? They are equal to each other. We decided that last time we did a note-taking guide. And then we also did linear pair last time. So like angle 1 and 2 are a linear pair. Angle 8 and 7 are a linear pair. Or 6 and 8 are a linear pair because they form a line together. Does anybody remember what we decided about a linear pair? They add together to be 180 degrees, right? So these are my relationships that I have with my angles. Now I'm going to see if I can first of all identify those relationships and then later in just a minute come down here and solve for some of them. So looking at this picture over to the side here, tell me the relationship between angle 1 and angle 8. So angle 1's up here, angle 8's down here. What's the relationship between those two angles?
It's alternate exterior.
It is, very nice. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to abbreviate because I don't want to write the whole thing out. So can we call alternate exterior AEA? Is that all right with everybody? All right, and they're alternate exterior because they're on opposite sides of the transversal outside the parallel lines. Okay, angle 2 and angle 3. What kind of angles are they?
Vertical.
Yes, very nice. Okay, next set then would be 5 and 6. What kind of angle relationship do they have?
Linear pair.
Exactly. Is it okay if we put LP? Linear pair. All right, how about 4 and 5? 4 and 5 are inside the parallel lines. So that's a big hint. What kind of relationship do they have?
Alternate interior.
Yep, alternate interior angle. So AIA is what I'm going to use as that abbreviation. Next set would be 6 and 4. 6 is here, 4 is here. What kind are those?
Consecutive interior.
You're exactly right, consecutive interior angles. Those get to be the CIA. How about 5 and 8? You know what 5 and 8 are, you guys? Yeah, they're vertical angles. All right, what about 1 and 5? 1 is up here, 5 is down here. So one's outside, one's inside. So they can't be any of the alternate interior or alternate exterior. They are corresponding. Nice, because they're in the same position on the cross. And then the last one here, 3 and 7. They're also corresponding. Nice. Okay, so now that we can identify them, we're going to use our information that we've learned in order to solve for some variables. Okay, so they gave us a set of parallel lines cut by a transversal, and they gave us angle 58. They want us to find x, y, and z. So tell me what you know.
So I would start off with x, subtracting 58
From,
180.
yes. If you do 180 minus 58, you're going to get the x value. You're exactly right. And what do you get when you do that?
And you can calculate. Oh yeah, you get 130. No, it's 122.
122?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, if x is 122, what else can you find out? Anybody remember a new rule we just figured out about inside parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal? Those would be called alternate interior angles. If you go up and look at alternate interior angles, what do you know about them? They're equal, so what's z got to be? Yep. And with that same rule, what's y going to be? 58. You could have also subtracted that again from 180 to find that relationship, but we didn't need to. Okay.
It's kind of inaccurate though, actually, because if you
The
look-
drawings don't match the angles for sure.
that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Because this
that's
is an
the-
acute angle in the drawing, and we say it's 122 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that just
You guys,
freaks
this
me
is
out.
going to happen all of the time when we're doing drawings like this. Even on the end of level tests, the drawings don't match the math. So always go with the math, not the drawing, okay? But I appreciate you pointing that out. Thank you. All right, help me find the relationship between these two angles. Are they alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive, corresponding? What are they? Okay, so one's inside the parallel lines and one's outside the parallel lines, so they can't be that. Anybody got another guess? What about if you look at their position on the cross? Upper right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner. Those would be called corresponding angles. And what do you know about corresponding angles? They're equal to each other. So I get to do 48 equals 4x, and I get to solve this.
It's 12.
It is 12 because I divide both sides by 4, and I get x equals 12. Okay. It said find x, so I'm good there. But if they wanted me to sub it back in, I would just sub that 12 back in. I would get 48, which tells me I did my math correctly. Okay. All right, next one. Again, using all the information we know to find all of these angles when they just gave me 40. So where do you want to start? Do you know what B is?
40.
How do you know?
Because they're vertical.
They're vertical.
And then C would be 140.
140. How come?
Because it's subtracting 40. from
Yeah, it's a linear pair, right? Then do you know A automatically?
140.
It's 140 because they're vertical angles.
And then you flip it and it's pretty much the same thing on the
It
other
is. So let's talk about rules though. So if I know this is 40, I know D is an alternate interior angle for it. So what's this one going to be? 40. I could have also said, well, they're corresponding. So upper left-hand corner makes it 40. If you know this is 40, then you know that's 40 because of vertical angles. I could do corresponding here or linear pair. I could use any rule I wanted to get back to where I was at. But just like Tara said, 40, 140, 140, 40, that cross down there has to have the same values in it because they're parallel lines cut by a transversal. All right, one last problem. Tell me what kind of angle relationship these have. Upper right-hand corner. So you're correct. They are corresponding. What do you know about corresponding angles? Oh, go back up and look one more time. Corresponding angles are, where's my one that says corresponding? The very top. They're equal. So what am I going to do with those two values? I'm going to set them equal. I'm going to do 2x minus 45 equals x plus 30. I'm going to solve that equation by getting all the x's on one side together. So I'm going to minus the x over here. And I get x minus 45 equals 30. My last step would be to add the 45 over. And my answer is x equals 75. Now that's my x value. It's not the value of my angle. It asked me to find x, which is 75, but if I wanted to know this angle, I would put the 75 back in here to get my angle measurement. Does that make sense to everybody? So my angle would be 105 if I wanted to know the angle measurement, okay?